Final game of the night, and we're ending on a high note. Why? I don't know if the game's good yet, but somebody's going to the highest stage you can get inside of beta, the promotion game. See whether you can make it to playoffs, or you gotta play some best of ones for a little longer. I'm Lynx, joined by Fellow, and we were just talking about this, John, but Connor said yesterday that Karn is playing the best siege of his life. Do you think he meant Carnage B or Karn is king the team?
Well, maybe if we were seeing a map like Oregon, perhaps it could have been both Karn & Co. overall and the one and only Carnage basketball, or Clubhouse. That is, of course, the patent Karn & Co. like power-up map. Karn himself wasn't doing that great, but everyone else on his team was firing on all cylinders, even when there were moments where a little bit of trollage commenced. I think Nick letting Karn die on site on that dining room host plant and then going up above and being like under a second off of stopping the guy from disabling the diffuser. I think that's one of the best examples of some trollage happening. But then you also had moments where Nick did a really good job of playing in, very tight-knit 1vx positions, killing the case player who was off site and then kind of forcing the other attacker to get in and play at a very, uncomfortable position. And overall, given the players that are on Karn & Co., I mean, you've got a lot of pretty strong players individually speaking. Packer, who was, all the way up in RTV and Parabellum for a good chunk of time. You've got Slimy Nick, who at this point, who has proven himself on countless different matches. Kick Throw as well, who's been on LG for a good chunk of time, and originally was on more of a supportive role because everyone else on his team was very mechanically skilled. But now he's been given the opportunity to play on more of a fragger position, and he's also been doing very well in that role as well. Not to mention Wi-Fi for a quick second too. I think he also had pretty good stats, I think, last game too, and has overall been very consistent for his team.
Wi-Fi as an individual player, just to focus on him in particular, has had a meteoric rise in kind of the tier 2, tier 1.5 area of play. I mean, I've known him for a while, I've casted him for a while, but it always seemed like he was fated to be one of those players who would play through CL calls, maybe even make CL, but never really be on a top contending team. And he's just had a very, very hot streak at this level of play over the past 6 months or so that has really made a name for himself, not only on this team, but on other teams he's played on in the past half year or so. But on the other side of things, we have 1HP, who won their game at a similar score line to Karn & Co. But yesterday, it seemed like an open and shut case. And then it got really bad, and then they finished it. But man, that game, if they really did not get their defenses in order, John, that could have been 1HP, maybe even losing in overtime, depending on what side they get.
Yeah, they've got to be counting their lucky stars at this point, because if not for their opponents just getting a little bit too aggressive and in their face at moments, we might have seen a totally different outcome. There was just a general lack of intel in that best of one match for the opponent of 1HP, which I believe we covered them just earlier today. That was Taken Kings, who then won their best of one match against CNE. They had lost that best of one on Border 4-7, of course. And yeah, a lot of that had to do with them just kind of walking in blind on some positions. 1HP were expecting something like a flank through a hatch, so they were watching it, someone would peek, and then they would die because they're like, oh, there's a guy watching the hatch. Well, that sucks. Now I'm dead and I'm stuck on cams. Stuff like that happened very consistently in the first half, which gave a lot of wiggle room for 1HP in the second half to then in turn kind of make similar mistakes. They're just kind of in no man's land. They're not playing on any fall off locations. They are very susceptible to intel, which at a lot of times Taken Kings are actually doing a very good job of finding those defenders and shutting them down. So they found a lot of good success on the second half for a little while, but then their luck eventually, of course, ran out. So it'll be interesting to see if 1HP can kind of continue that hot streak in at least the first half, or if things are going to be more back and forth consistently between them and Karn & Co.
Well, let's not waste any time. Let's see where we're playing today. You mentioned that Karn & Co. being on a structured map, being on a map like Oregon is something they would like to make happen, but I doubt it's something that 1HP will let happen. Karn & Co. banning Border, of course, it's not a map that doesn't match up with them stylistically, but it's also a map that 1HP won yesterday and are comfortable on as well. Followed up with a Chalet and Cafe ban, kind of teams trading styles, but also still keeping with their general pools. Still have Oregon in the works, but no, 1HP eventually banned it out. Down to 3, John.
And for all the 1 HP bans, these are quite literally Karn maps. And we saw Karn and Co play on Chalet just the other day. They did fairly well against Chunner Esports, who unfortunately were not able to play today. And you have the Oregon ban, like we just talked about. Bank must be more of a personal one for 1 HP, as I haven't seen them play on that map in quite a fair bit of time. This does still leave Villa on the board, I think Skyscraper, and yeah, I can't remember the last time I've seen Karn play on that map. So Villa makes a lot more sense. Maybe they have played on it, but you know, compared to Villa, which is a much more default map, that makes little sense. And now that you have on your team a lot of skilled shooters, playing on a map like Villa as well is still very advantageous because the map is just so big. You can do a lot on not only you playing as the roamer on the defense, but also maybe going in for a roam clear if you have effective intel, and just do a good job at kind of pinpointing spots on the map that you really want to focus on and make sure that things don't get out of hand, because that can be a really big issue on larger maps like Villa, is just kind of spreading yourself too thin and allowing those 1v1 gunfights to continue to happen if the defense are prepared for it. That can cost you a lot of players early on and let your execute basically just wither away before it even really began.
Well, I know where I personally lie on this game. Let's see where the rest of you guys lie, John, on this particular game. I think I voted Karn and Co, right? I did, right? I did. Okay. You voted 1 HP, which, here's what I will say, okay? For a long time, back like a year ago, when it was probably a completely different roster, but Mikey was still there, I disavowed Karn and Co. I was like, I am never predicting these guys again, and I think I generally held true to that. Maybe it's because I'm just a big Wi-Fi fan, big fan of Kyle, but I got a lot more faith in this roster than I have previously. Maybe it's because seeing them so often in CL for 2 years and having middling success kind of made me sour on them. But right now, this iteration, I feel like the injection of new blood and kind of newer tier 2 level talent, I'm feeling pretty good about them, especially coming off their win a few days ago.
I think there's a fairly good argument for both teams coming into this game, because they had moments of a lot of grace, and they had moments where some trollage did happen, to be fair, as well.
When doesn't it sometimes?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you play with me in your games, and you're going to always expect me just baiting. So, I mean, that's kind of a given, but playing a T2 now, so things are a little bit different stake-wise. But again, there are moments where Karn and Co, especially on the attack, were pretty indecisive as to where they wanted to go and how long these pushes were going to take because of how they started in the first minute or so of the action phase. On a map like Villa, it's a lot more clear-cut, even against a map like Chalet, where it's like, okay, they're going aviator in games, 9 times out of 10, we're going to do a master overtake. And if not, it's going to be an even more simplistic take of starting at study and just going directly into site, maybe having someone go bot main as well to go assist in that part of the map. If it's trophy, you might do the polar opposite, or you also go simplistic over by master, and then if it's dining, well, you get vertical one way or another, and then you probably push site unless you want to rush it. So it can't get any more straightforward than that. If you want to have a little more variety, you get someone to lurk down below, maybe as like a Nook if she's available, and that's kind of where the rabbit hole ends for the most part. Of course, you can have more depth into these games, but if you're just here playing the map of Villa because it's kind of a default selection, then that's what you're going to see most of the time.
I would have to expect that Nook banned, though, especially as we saw her banned a couple times yesterday, and on Villa, there are a lot of opportunities, as you mentioned, to ban that Nook. She's not necessarily, one of the most banned attackers, but she's up there a lot of the times on the same level as sometimes Ying as well. I mean, she's got frag grenades. She can sneak around the map very effectively, as you mentioned. I think with Karn and Co starting on the attack as well, a lot of very mechanically skilled players there, Wi-Fi, Nick. Might be a good idea for 1 HP just to ban it out and not have to worry about it. Maybe the Ying as well if they're worried about just some aggressive play. There are a couple operators on that attacking side, Ying and Nook, as in particular right now, that just getting rid of them, it gives you peace of mind. They're not necessarily as oppressive as, say, an Azami or a Valkyrie on the defense, but they're just operators that if they're off the board, you're going to feel a little better knowing that with 40 seconds left, 3 Candelas aren't going to fly in front of Vault Door, or that when you're sitting on red stairs 2 minutes into the round, a Nook is going to creep up from Memorial and completely throw your defensive strategy out of whack.
And as always, Carter, in the last game of the day, it always takes the longest to start up the match. So we'll go into a quick little break, get some more content flowing for all you guys, and be back for Villa. Don't go anywhere.
Ying Candela.
The Candelas, my boy. I know this.
The Candela's on Ying.
Oh, Candela. This is the Ying Candela.
The Frost Mat, also known as Bear Mat.
Oh wait, what are they actually called? It's just called a frost mat, no?
I'm gonna go with bear mat.
Maybe bear mats? Is that what they call them? Oh, the welcome mat. That's what it is. Okay, that makes more sense.
The frost welcome mat. Nice. I see. I've heard so many people call it bear mat. I figured that might actually just been the in-game thing.
This is Habana pellets, also known as pellets.
X-Kairos charges.
Oh, these are the X-Kairos pellets on Habana. Those are ones that are a unique one, yeah.
This is X-Kairos, Hibana.
This is Habana, and it's the X-Kairos.
Some of the lore, like, answers are, like, tricky. I'm not gonna lie.
Jackal Equinox, scanner.
Let's see. What operator looks like they be looking at feet? Vera.
This is Jackal, and it's the Footfinder.
The feet sniffer. Feet sniffer on Jackal.
Inox Model 3.
That's the scientific name. This is the normal name.
I have no idea. Zero spyware.
I've never played Zero in my life. Third eye camera.
It's Zero. I don't know what it's called.
Zero cams. I actually forgot the logo at first.
This is Zero's Argus cam.
Oh, the Argus launcher. Okay, okay. That makes more sense.
I should have known that one.
Listen, we're happy to see you. We're all happy to be here, but let's be honest. We had a bit of a long break. I had to get Wi-Fi in the lobby with my own 2 hands. Let's just start this for all of our benefits. This is actually surprising to me. 55% in favor of 1 HP. I know that Karn & Co. is kind of like a brand, has taken a hit over the past couple years, but to see them lose a poll, I gotta say, is a little surprising.
And what does chat assume that we don't know, with the majority of us voting with Karn & Co. rather than against? Maybe he's not the king. Maybe someone else is the king.
He's a pretender.
Yeah.
A usurper.
Which seems very odd from a poetic standpoint, because Nick is also on his team. You could assimilate that with Nick A30. So I guess Karn would be the king, or he would be maybe the servant of one. We'll stop that dead in its tracks.
I ain't gonna lie, you're hitting some deep cuts that I just do not understand.
Okay. Well, that's
lost.
exactly my point as to why you have to hang out with everyone just as much as you have been these past couple days. So
Fair enough. All right,
we'll deep dive it later.
Ban phase
Time for the game.
Ban phase has transpired. We got Fenrir Valk off the board. We got Doki Ying off the board. But we do have that Nook that we mentioned earlier. Could be mentioned by Karn & Co. or 1 HP on the other side once they get to the attack, to use and sneak around down below. Do a little lurking. Who knows, though? It's entirely up to their discretion what they want to do. All I know, John, no Dokkaebi calls for the roam clear, but that also means you don't got to worry about any cameras off site or F-Nauts walking in the doorways. And honestly, in my opinion, how strong these 2 operators are, that's a win. That's a win for me.
A little shocked that we're not seeing any of the core operators you would tend to have that are kind of on the upper echelon of like something that's just way too busted, or something that's just really good to have for your team, like an Azami, for example, who is also very good for this site specifically. Solus as well, a lot of the floorboards being soft, and with there being an emphasis on a master overclear most times, could also be pretty effective. But that's not to say the operators that are in selection by 1 HP are bad by any means. You still have a lot of utility like those ADSs and magnets to help bolster up that deployable shield that Aimkey currently has lodged in the bomb site by the map's table. Got a big guy on Capcan, so that might kill someone or just get info. And you got C4 plant denial. And of course, BJL on the smoke, one of the core operators for this bomb site, just to stop a default plant if it is to happen by Skull. And you can just sit comfortably by bar most of the time and utilize your shotgun for a nice couple of vertical positions if someone tries to push in from the main staircase. And speaking of pushes, seems like Karn & Co. is doing somewhat of a master overtake, but they also have an emphasis on playing down below to hunt down these players who are by living room and library, and even by bottom red, which I believe there's someone at currently.
Indeed, there is someone creeping up that red stairs up to the first floor landing. Twister providing some coverage on one side, the Capcan on the other falters, kicks throw, cuts him down. There is the Jaeger close by he's got to worry about, but he's got the advantage for the time being. He's just by himself. Got to make sure you don't lose a 1v1. 1 HP don't really have an opportunity now to recover that. Skunky's backed off from the position, moved all the way down to the basement. This is a long flank he's trying to plan, but Karn & Co. are hollowing out the site as this moves. Wi-Fi can also cut it off. He's moved into art. Do they know about this position? He can't get caught off guard. The Jaeger creeping up, but he's looking the wrong way. Neither know about the other. It's still Karn & Co. in the lead. Wi-Fi takes him down. 4-2 now as Aimkey answers back onto Karn. But so much work done for the attack that it might not even matter.
EJL, yep, so low in HP, but he even takes the fight by 90 in Aimkey. Wow. Direct trade onto Packer, so 1v2, definitely a lot closer in comparison to that 4v2 position. The BJL has got a lot of time and a lot of different angles he's got to worry about right now, and only one Toxic Babe to slow down Karn & Co. as they can take their time, gather more intel, and even utilize that nade to make a bit of space if they find it necessary to do so. BJL now repositioning. inside a vault, maybe to challenge this player over by study without having to worry about the player who's over in skull, and that almost works out for him. Currently dancing around this player's position, spots him the second time, and he's good for the headshot. Now 1v1, and all of a sudden, things become much more winnable for 1 HP in this spot.
We'll try to land the pre-fire. Bullets scattering everywhere, but he's got no idea. BGL on 1 HP. You just got to land one lucky shot through the wall, and you got round number 1. BGL's got 3 so far, thanks to aim key as well to make this situation even possible. Final explosion goes out. You don't have a lot of time. Kickstar, you got to go for the kill or go for the plant. He'll move into vault. BGL's giving away his position, and he's so easy to finish off. The effort's all for naught. A great attempt to get round 1, but it's still Karn and Co's and Kicksro at the beginning and the end.
You do have to commend 1 HP for making it so close in that round. Even Aimkey getting that 1 for 1, and also BGL, who is very low in HP, walking up 90. Sure, it's a major gamble, but you can't just sit aside and wait for Karn to kind of walk all over you when you really don't have a lot of utility or players to stop that big speed. So that really was the best option that 1 HP had to potentially bounce back that round after having a really inefficient opener against Karn & Co. in their roam clear. You had Wi-Fi collecting 1 kill, and it was Kickstar with the opener onto Big Guy. And again, that kind of becomes the problem sometimes, is just not knowing when to either fall off or just flat out not being aware that there's someone approaching you from downstairs, and they take that 1-for-1 gunfight with not really any kind of challenge because 1 HP is just looking the wrong direction and don't really have any intel to play off of. But now they'll have to go for, I believe it was, what, Dining Room that we just saw?
Yes.
By 1 HP selected? Yeah. So they will have the entire map to use as their magnum opus, and even have more info-focused operators like Malusi, Pulse, and even to an extent, again, the Cap Can, and some Mozzie Pests as well, that you can find a lot more options in comparison to the last round.
Chronicle will need to look out for their late round to make sure that something from BGL doesn't happen again, though it's an early C4 that tries to start things off on a good note. It's all good, it misses. You might want it later on, but there's still 3 for 1 HP to work with. You got a lot of a cushion. 1 C4 hopefully won't make the difference between a round 1 or lost in the long run. You at least put Karnico maybe on the back foot for a couple seconds, but beyond that, not much gained. Karnico repelled up to the top floor. Now first EE1D flies out. Twist cut off a little bit from rotating back to the site as Wi-Fi has worked his way to the boar window, and Packer is wrapping around to take this angle from red stairs. But Twist has made his way back. It's all good. Kick's getting aggressive. Twist swings. Good for 3 now, the Yana's been in 2 rounds. There's another player on this top floor, make that 2. BJL wraps around himself, cuts down Kicksrow. Back to a 4v4, Aimkey almost landing a pre-fire. The Rome's standing stalwart now, as both players up top are good for 2 more. Packer caught in a spin cycle, put on a poster by the rest of 1 HP. Carnage Basketball, you might have the might be king, but who knows, John? I don't know if he's good for this one.
Might be dethroned on this round specifically. Yeah. I'd like to see.
Might work.
Yeah, I would like to see maybe Karn find 1 kill so he has an overall better scoreline than last game we had covered him against Chunner. But I might just be poking holes at him at this point. A couple Selma charges deployed up above, kind of a bait and switch idea. BGL reads into it, but kind of double backs on himself. Luckily, Skunky's there, so not really a big concern for him at the very least. And 1 HP bounced back after a much more successful round on their defensive half, having to do it probably just flatlining the rest of that roam extension after we saw the opening kill found by Kicksrow.
Good start from Kicks, of course, able to take down Twist, getting aggressive on concrete. And Karnico had some very solid angles to work with. They had Packer Star, at least when we last saw him. Or I call him by his full government name, just Packer.
Yeah, that was crazy.
we had Packer moving in through red. Try and control the angle and the rotation in from statue. We had Wi-Fi aboard window, Kicks row inside a master bedroom. It seemed like Karnico were setting up very well to pinch out or isolate those remaining roamers. BGL gets aggressive up top, takes down Kicks row, who's the most forward-facing of those attackers on the top floor. And the rest fall as well, likely to just aggressive engagements taken by 1 HP. And I can appreciate that, at least, especially after some very poor defenses yesterday. If we're seeing not only energy, but successful shots and successful gunfights, I'm going to feel a lot better after the poor defenses from yesterday's game.
Well, I think we are frozen in time. Yet to be known how the round will play out.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually very thankful that is not on my end, because I basically had Wi-Fi problems this entire past week and a half because of the storms. And going into yesterday and today, I was like, all right, I'm just praying that my internet doesn't cut out. And thankfully it hasn't. And then everything froze. I was like, oh, it's happened. It's happened, isn't it? But it's not our fault. In fact, the game just crashed. So that means, assuming that the lobby is still up, the players are still playing right now. It just means our observer can't watch it, unfortunately. What do you think is happening at this very second, John?
Packer. I hope Packer goes up skull. That'd be
That's
really
Packer
funny.
star to you.
Okay, man. I can't even find a funny quip to say after that. I'm just so taken back that you called him Packer star.
I don't know what got into me. It wasn't even intentional. I just
All
said
good.
it.
It happens.
I said it, and the rest of my point just went out the window because I was like, why did I just call him that?
Like me on occasion calling him Slimy Nick. Although now he's just gone to full Nick.
That's true.
He's
just Nick now. He's taken off his first name. He's like Sting or Bono now. He's just Nick. I don't know why he didn't go with Slime. That would have been a good one. Yeah, actually, well, no, we had J Slime. Yeah, I don't think he plays anymore though. So maybe he didn't want to, gotta pay respect to your elders. This is a weird tangent. I'm sorry. I got us on this.
Kind of real for it though. Not gonna lie. Yeah, I don't really know where the best case scenario would be to put the Amaru. I mean, you've got 90, and then of course, like we just talked about, you could go into Skull theoretically, unless you want to use her for more of a roam clear. Instead, you could put her up by the Astro and Durapel, send her in through there, and then you start walking your way in through gear to help your master player. That could be the main idea of that, but I don't know.
Hold on.
Oh, it was definitely Skull. They already won the round. Okay.
All right. Well, I was gonna.
Yeah, you're having no fun today, Carter. I'm sorry.
I was gonna pretend there was an alert coming in, a signal direct from mission control. Go Carter, go on the round, guys. They won. No bit for me. It's fine. So it's 2-1 for Karn & Co. at least. You're a Karn & Co. fan. It's good for you, I guess.
Hey, you should be happy right now, Carter. No, you voted Karn & Co. to win. Now they're back in the lead.
Game's not over, John. Game's not over. And I'm not happy. Because I just wanted to have a little fun during not even a rehost, during a game crash. Because we can't talk about a round we didn't see. We already talked about the round we just ended. At least with tech pauses, I can milk everything I can out of the round we just saw. I was left hanging in anticipation to see how they used the Amaru, how they entered onto this particular engagement. And I try to have a little bit of fun. While we have nothing to talk about. And what do? They won the round, guys. You just spoil it.
All business.
Right out the gate. All business. 3 bedrooms, no rugs.
Nah, I only have 1 rug in my room.
You don't even know what I'm referencing.
No, I
believe
don't.
We are
10 years younger than you.
We are. It's free real estate. Tim and Eric bit. Come on, you got to know that one. That one,
the end bit.
show.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, exactly. Either way, we are full rehosting the lobby, so we're getting everyone back in right now. And as John did say, Karn & Co. won the round, so we're currently 2-1. What site was it actually? Because they won Dining, they lost AVG.
It was AV again.
Remember, was it AV again? Okay, I couldn't remember exactly. It's been a couple minutes. So
you could have suspended the bomb site, Carter. If only you knew. If only you could remember. Use that big brain of yours.
I've had enough out of you, if I'm being totally honest. First, you said I'm a shell of my former self, which, you really went for big air to start the night, my friend. You really went and jumped the shark to start out with the insults. Now you're sarcastically calling my brain big. Either way, Karn & Co. have won AVG twice now, and 1HP have only won Dining. That does mean they have Trophy Statuary, though. It's one of the primary bomb sites on Villa. So, not a bad place to be in, but they've also consistently lost one of the primary bomb sites now.
And it does beg the question, they try to go back to AV again for a 3rd time?
I think, you know what I think?
What do you think?
Like Slate, they should run it back a 3rd time and change nothing. Nothing at all.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
Entire play, run it back.
Eventually, Karn & Co. is going to continue to change their lineup against it and make a mistake. And then that's how 1HP win the site.
Karn's looking at it like, surely something's different. Surely they've got something else up their sleeve.
Guys? It's AB again. And, same comp.
Karn sees the run of the same set of 3 times where he's like, Chad, is this real?
Yeah, mods. Can we check the operator status on 1 HP?
Can we ban this guy?
Yeah.
We've got, I believe, everyone back in the lobby now, by the way, just making sure that all of the settings are correct. Thankfully, the round history isn't that long. It's always a pain when these rehosts are like at 6-6. We got to go through like 12 different rounds. Only got 3. We got the op bans as well. So should be back in the next minute or 2. So don't worry. Won't even need a break this time. In fact, I just heard the sound in my ear right now. So just knocked my microphone down a little bit. You didn't see
I do it all the time, so don't worry, man.
I've had this microphone stand for about 3 years, and the only wear and tear it's suffered is like the microphone does not stay in place as easily as it once did.
Yeah, my microphone stand is from like an old $50 mic set I used to have when I just started casting, and I was just too lazy to buy a new one for my Shure. So it isn't really meant to hold like this heavy of a microphone. So it moves all the time. And then I also lean back from my chair and it makes it really quiet. Yeah, not fun.
I don't think mine is meant to hold this heavy of a mic either. It's also stuck to my mic stand. Like, I can't take it off. So every time I have to move, it just like stays on there and I move it as one big piece. It's just not how it's supposed to work.
Doesn't sound like it.
No,
and unfortunately, we don't have AV for the 3rd time with the same lineup. You know, the night is still young. There's still 2 more rounds after this. Maybe we see AV again.
True.
I'm hopeful. And I'm also hopeful that BJL will pick Rook just one more time as well, because we all saw how effective he was on Rook last time on Border, which is a joke. He died like on the opener almost every time. And overall did not have a great game on Border, but luckily everyone else on 1 HP did just fine. So it wasn't a big concern. And I don't know where he's playing at. Oh, he's just in sight. Okay. That makes sense.
Are we going to keep using the C4 off the rip and it not do anything every time? Because, like, when we've got 4, like, all right, that's fine. Like, you've only got 2 C4s now. Skunky's the only one left. I mean, he's Warden as well. He's going to play the site, so, like, kind of get it. But, like, you could have brought a shield. You were just going to do that. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Either way, big guy, BJL, Skunky, none of them are the player aggressive right now. That's Twist inside behind the map table. Ooh, nade a little too short. They thought Twist was actually being more aggressive than he was. And that nade hitting the floor in front of maps, well, it's forced Twist to back off. Second nade flies on in. It lands basically in the same spot as the first. Twist is still on soft floor at the moment, and he's now retaken inside of maps because his Kiba has never been destroyed. He'll even plug up the map store for good measure. So many nades wasted on this one position. Almost all 6, in fact, and only now does the Azami get downed. Will he be finished off? Somebody will have to either move in or move up those stairs to do it.
I think BGL for a second was just trying to bait his teammate, and yeah, I think they realized that you can pick yourself up with Rook armor. So Skunky officially gets the opener onto Kicksrow. He's still in games, and they don't have any more grenades to actually flush him out. This is a really complex spot now for Karn and Co. Thankfully, Aimkey at least will end up dying. Wi-Fi, because of that engagement, is very low on HP. So things are still looking very favorable for 1 HP as they've wasted a lot of time and every single grenade that the offense has brought into this lineup. And, I mean, if Karn and Co. don't really do an effective job of clearing out this Mew, you could see Skunky prolong this position for just a little while longer, and yeah, that's exactly what happens. The person who's in study to help assist the player that's by the 90 corner is the one droning, which is just so odd. So it's another 1v1 for Skunky that he wins.
Now I've got a third 1v1 now with a player involved.
Yeah, like what?
The Wi-Fi coming in for the assist. He's on 1 HP still. What's going on here? Something smells, and it ain't just Skunky. A stinker 4K. Likely to close out this round. Packer on 1 HP. I guarantee you, Skunky's about to sprint from vault all the way to top red to finish off this one. Nah, never mind. He's playing it disciplined. He's playing it clinical. He's got diffuser as well. He knows the right play when he sees it. I think I just saw him sprint up 90. Maybe his teammates will keep Packer occupied to let Skunky get it. Here we go. One around the corner. Can he land the shot? Oh, he sees him. Misses the spray. Come on, get the ace. Get the ace. Get the ace! You've got it! Come on, man! There
it is!
That took way too long. I was running out of patience. But an ace from Skunky. Is that our first ace of Element 1?
I think so. I think you're right. We've had a lot of close calls.
We had a lot of 4Ks last game, I can tell you that much.
Absolutely. And I think we had not a 1v4, like a true 1v4, but we had a 4K and like a 1v3/1v2, I think, at one point on Cafe. So we've gotten close, but that was officially the first 5K by one person. And yeah.
5K, also called an ace, by the way.
That is true. Good point you bring up. Look, it even says it with an exclamation mark. Do you emphasize the word ace when it happens too? Because
Ace.
the exclamation point? Yeah,
Maybe,
exactly.
But not only our first ace, also an exceptionally poor roam clear from Karn and Co. Skunky given 1v1 after 1v1, and the one time they actually go and try to pinch him, one of the players doing the pinching is 1 HP. And not only that, John, stacks up on the player in Vault. So when the Nook dies, so does Wi-Fi in the same spray. It doesn't get worse than that for a roam clear. But 1 HP, they'll take that round happily. And now they get to go back to kitchen dining. The other side, they've won. We're doing this again.
This one might work, though. Oh, what? That's too short again.
Again, 4 C4s. Like here, whatever. It's fine.
Yeah. And they still got an opening kill. Nick is dead. So far, not having a great lineup so far. Coming back from the rehost. But all good. You know, still more potential, I guess. I guess it's not... No, it's very bad this round because they have no more vertical on dining room. And they're still going to try to clear out the whole map as best they can. Packer off the back of a nice little lion scan will pop up from 90. A drone is assisting him as well. You even have Wi-Fi, who is the person wielding that drone, try to help him out. But no, BJL just smokes him. Spots out another drone outside of bathrooms. He's waiting for someone to aggress in from that position. But given the fact they already won 2 gunfights, they can just, fall off and kind of wait for Karn and Co. to push into the building a little bit more and then see how the rest of this round pans out. Especially said, like you mentioned, they still have like 3 C4s available. So there's potential to kill everyone else who's left alive. With
BL just dumpsters 2 people, though. His C4 misses. Unlucky there. They got 2 more and a pulse scanner as well. Carnage B trying to contend with someone through the floor. Not working out. This is just such a good spot for 1 HP. The Buck dying early on and only left with the breach charges very much limits how many vertical angles Karn and Co. can open. And if Big Guy is active with that heartbeat scanner and the rest of his team are active with the C4s, might be able to get Karn when he's putting down that breach charge and C4 him from below. Kixer has found himself in an interesting position, though. 1 player in library and 1 player on red, but he doesn't react in time. Twist gets the heads-up gunfight, cuts down the head of the Yana. BGL on a 3K through the floor, but the final head eludes him. Only 3 skulls hung around his neck as he also shepherded into an early grave. Wi-Fi alone now outside a bicycle. 55 seconds left, 1 EE1D, 3 flashes. Any hope? Any faith in Wi-Fi to clutch this 1v4? If there is, John, I doubt it's in the casting booth right now.
Maybe it's in Twitch chat. Chat, does this guy win?
Chat, is this real?
I believe so. I'm the only hologram in this realm. I suppose.
They got feet holes on laundry too. This is just
we are.
It is so Jover.
Yeah, I think Wi-Fi is understanding the gravity of this situation. He's like, all right, I cannot hop into bike or I'm gonna die. He will move out, not get cap can, so that's a plus. But I don't think he's going to check for Skunky playing tucked. Oh, and Twist is just right behind him, too. There it is. Skunky tries to go for the shot. Misses. I don't think it really has an effect on the round, though. Yeah, no. Twist just wide swings him. Wi-Fi is instantly shut down. Round for 1 HP after having a pretty explosive opening round. Besides from the C4s. Those were all duds.
Another poor roam clear for Karn & Co. as well. I mean, that was, again, just 2 1v1s given to BJL. One, admittedly, an aggressive spawn peek. So maybe you're caught off guard there, but then Packer's the only one moving in through board to take a gunfight with anybody on that top floor. I get most of it was clear, you know, not many people in Trophy, not many people in Statue, but beyond that, another time for Karn & Co. just try to move through the top floor extremely linearly, and nothing else to show for it. By the end of the round, at least.
Now we're back to AV. The 1 bomb site that has been unsuccessful for 1 HP both times they've brought it out. Now for the 3rd time, their lineup is a little bit different. Now they've got Doc. And that's pretty much the only major difference. Everything else is the exact same besides maybe who is playing what role. But I guess more importantly, you still have VGL on smoke. I think that was probably the biggest point to make since we didn't get to see any of round 3. And I ruined Carter's fun by spoiling the outcome of it as well. So
could have had a nice fun bit.
You know, I think we had an even better bit off of that though.
Yeah, I mean that's probably true. You make a fair point, actually. I'll give you that one. I live for the bit, and you probably have a point there.
Yeah, and apparently 1 HP does not live for winning on AV.
No, they do not. That's good for Karn and Co, though. I mean, 3/3 half, Villa attack.
Yeah, pretty normal.
Not great, not terrible. Very happy with it. Kicks row. Going for his lurk. Skunky. Just like...
just Skunky. There's nothing to elaborate on that.
He's just prone in a corner, man. Like, in the year of our Lord, 2023, we're sitting prone in Villa basement.
He's taking a nap.
I get most people just consider that part of the map to not even exist, but like, I don't want to see it.
If you're an absolute Chad who, you're an absolute Chad who's played search, or not search, secure area, then that basement floor was your life. An art room. That's it though. That's kind of the extent of it. Yeah. Maybe a roamer or a nook once in a while. That's kind of it though.
Really?
Out of this, like kind of the same deal we had last time.
A lot of lurking though, John. I mean, we got Skunky down below. We got 2 players in the middle floor now, both with nades, trying to find kills either from below or catch anybody roaming downstairs. But it's all allowing the setup on that top floor by 1 HP to go relatively unchallenged. Warden behind the obs blocker on red stairs. The rest of the players moving around main, around 90. Over half the round now gone, and they've taken some important control to go for those nades, but the actual players sitting on red, well...
Okay.
Not really... No successful challenge mounted.
Do we count that as the opening death?
I used to. I don't anymore.
Yeah. It is funny, though.
It is technically correct.
Sometimes that's the best way of being correct about things. In this case, maybe not, though. Still starting to find the opening kill. And that might happen by Twist, but no.
Man.
Aimkey beats him to it. Twist still finds that 1-for-1, though. Kicksrow catches Skunky across the map. Now that leaves just the Master over presence, and of course Kicksrow, who's playing down below by red stairs. And Aimkey's giving him a run for his money right now. He's walking all the way back up above, and Twist has got coverage on Carnage. So it doesn't really seem like Kicksrow's finding a freebie just off of applying pressure. And now it seems like for the first time, we might have 1 HP win the bomb site of Aviator in games, unless Kicksrow, with 0 grenades and several angles to worry about at the exact same time, wins round number 6 with only 15 seconds left and a toxic babe thrown at him.
Canister.
Yeah, this is just, I don't even know how to describe this. This is just overkill. Kicksrow just stuck on the staircase, and yeah, I think the round's going to fizzle away to 0 seconds. Packer left the game, based, and yeah, the round's over.
Not a, we'll have a pause after that, obviously. Not a great showing from Karn & Co. in those final 3 rounds. First 2, by the end of round 3, we have a 2-1 lead for Karn & Co. Sure, they've only won AVG, but they've won AVG twice. Pretty damn good. Then we go to Trophy, and we have really just a terrible roam clear. Just a terrible roam clear. 1v1s galore. Skunky gets an ace. Then we go to Dining. Roam clear again. 1v1s galore. BGL gets a 2-piece, drops back to the site. Karn & Co can never recover. Then we go to round 3. And everything, really and almost literally, can be perfectly surmised by the first death of the round. Wi-Fi nades himself. Hey, it happens. You can maybe argue it shouldn't be happening, but it's not. It's just law of averages. You throw 100 nades, a couple are, they're going to be cooked a little too much. They're going to be burnt, and they're going to blow up in your face. It happens. But then, we have another example. Nobody has cleared top red at this point. It's 1:15 seconds left. The actual setup is completely intact. Warden on red. Skunky supporting him from the red landing below. Somebody behind the map shield. Somebody in 90. The exact spot Karn & Co have taken 2 minutes to push is still completely locked in a crossfire. So Packer tries to use some smokes to block off the map shield. One gets caught by a magnet, and the other lands. But too far left. And that actually gives, because the magnet caught the smoke, it gives the player playing behind the map shield a one-way to look through and completely shuts the Twitch down. If those two beats don't really just surmise the last 3 rounds we watched from Karn & Co., I don't know what else will. But they got a 2-4 half, John, so there's that, I guess.
Better than nothing.
Better than
and
nothing.
Now they got to look forward to actually defending the bomb side of AB this time rather than having to attack it, although for the most part those were actually pretty decent compared to the other bomb sites they've had to tackle against 1HP on their defensive side. And at least this time they're the ones to bring out the Azami, so they're not going to have to be completely reliant on just one deployable shield. And with there being only Omai, yeah, I was going to say, I could imagine they want to extend a little bit more off the bomb site, just because it doesn't seem like they have a lot of utility they could really pump into the site unless you have someone like Kickstarter who can fall back comfortably and save some of those Kibas after a few grenades end up going off. But again, it looks like they're more focused on trying to waste some time and resources earlier in the round and then have the option of falling back close to the site where they've got, a bunch of kill holes made by Packer and also a Kiba, I believe, that we saw by Study too, in case that, that rotate happens later on, which you tend to see.
He's got those Kibas over in Master Bedroom right now. Most of the action, at least in the first little bit of the round, focused towards that Study side. Be going for a direct take with those 4 nades in the hands of BJL and Twist. But nothing dedicated by 1HP just yet, and Karn & Co. have that similar flexibility with the Azami over in Bedroom, who will likely, as you said, got that Kiba in Study, maybe we'll rotate there later on and play behind it, or somebody else from Karn & Co. will play behind it just to contest anybody playing on this balcony. It's just poking and prodding to start. Destroy some util here, deny some intel there. Not going to be a lot of action, it seems, maybe, for this defensive half. As Karn & Co. were quick to get in the building, but not necessarily get a lot of control. At least Kixrow and Wi-Fi would go through the motions and take middle floor control. Here, not the same for 1HP. A lot of focus on one particular side of the map, a lot more coordinated, but also a lot slower.
Seems like now for 1HP, they've been able to gather a fair amount of intel, and having the control of this first floor, and with them having a few sets of grenades, they could play down below and hope to break some utility, maybe even find a kill here and there, perhaps. One of those few frags being tossed up by BGL. Don't think it connects. Ash charge deployed by AIM Key to try to get an angle on a skull, but there's another Kiba barrier to deploy right in his face. And finally, with the last Ash charge, he'll be able to reopen up that window. It should only be a matter of time for Kixrow. Might be able to deploy another one, but no, I think he's out of Kiba. So that angle is now reopened up for 1HP completely for the rest of this round. But so far, these nades have not really been effective at finding anything, it seems, in this round, Carter.
No, they've almost completely missed. Twist only has 1 left to deal with, either Karn playing on that bar, or maybe try to loop it around the main stairs. But it seems like this E1D will try to make what hasn't worked at all happen. Packer's just waiting for Big Guy to push through Study, knowing there's so much util, a smoke canister waiting on the main stairs. He pops up, 2 pumps, BJL's down. Nick also will cut down Twist on another part of the map. Study push, ill-fated, completely collapsing at the seams. As Karn & Co. get 3 kills and don't deviate from their positions by even a centimeter. Nick still down below, covering bottom main. Packer still main stairs, Wi-Fi on the Kiba. This is an easy, flawless round for Karn & Co. to start clawing back that lead.
And with there not being any of that main utility destroyed, all the nades not connecting from down below, and not having the Ash charges available to break that shield by top main, that allowed Packer to sit there the entire round and be as aggressive as he wanted to, even using his smoke grenades to make sure no one could walk up main stairs and shoot him in the back while he's completely focused on Study. And he readverts his focus back down below onto main stairs. Once the smoke is removed, that allows the rest of his teammates to push into Study, so everything is on lockdown by Karn & Co. And again, with there being no more utility left in the round, 1HP are just kind of sitting ducks, waiting for someone to take an engagement and hoping they win that 50-50 gunfight, which that was not the case in this round. And it seems like they're trying to learn from their past mistakes. They're now bringing out the Flores just to guarantee if their nades miss, they can still deal with an Azami effective.
Also be good, since Karn are bringing that castle, have a lot of bulletproof utility that will require some explosives to destroy. The council barricades, of course, being what I just mentioned. The Kiba barriers being the other big one, and both those being the main targets for that explosive utility, but both those operators, despite it only being 2, carrying quite a lot in their arsenal. 4 council barricades, 5 Kibas. I mean, come on, man. Killing a lot of explosive
And a bulletproof cam.
utility right there. And a bulletproof cam, that's true. I didn't even see that one.
Not even mention the Siri gates, but those you could just use like flashes or something to deal with
Better
instead.
be-
That's not a top priority.
Better be using a Yana cloner flashes for that. If I see a Rotera drone go into a Rooney gate where it's more than 30 seconds left, I'll be a little angry.
That's like if you have the luxury to use a Rotero, but like you could even use Roteros to gather intel instead. So it's kind of like a last case scenario thing of like I have literally nothing and I don't want to use my body. So we'll divert away from that. Focus on what 1 HP is looking to accomplish. Another C4 tossed out. Could this be a dud? Yeah. Skunky is way too far for that to be any bit effective. At least a couple of drones have been broken in the sideline. And now with there being no more threat of a nitro cell, some X-Car charges will be deployed out, sent to those castle barricades, and attempted to open them up, but I think they dealt with the Kiba barrier first and some of those Aruni gates as well. But now the castle's opened up, and a new line of sight is gathered for 1 HP to just kind of tighten and constrict where Karn and Co. can play in this bomb set of statue.
A lot of the X-Kairos used on clearing out those Aruna gates and council barricades, though, but thankfully a lot of the wall, that triple panel, has been opened up for 1 HP, and Twist is also pushed very far up into bathroom. Karn might have to be careful. Twist could get aggressive on this triple panel, not only get an angle on Karn, but somebody playing statue as well. He'll still maintain his aggression, use the Kiba barriers to give himself a little bit more coverage, just a little though. Not enough to completely save him should anybody peek. Packer holding down the fort down below. He's found the main lurker on 1 HP. That Nook now cut down. Karn, though, loses his life in turn. Now the push into bathroom is a lot more solid. Nobody playing inside of Astro will force Packer to work the flank, but there's somebody on that rappel as well. Wi-Fi's got to hold it down for the next foreseeable future. As you know, Packer's here now, spots the Yana, spots another, but no bullets landing, no bullets even fired, and he still gets a double kill. Hello? Big get 3 for Packer. 1 HP dropping the bar every single way, but it's still winnable. They've got the site. They're getting the bomb down, and Wi-Fi's the only one left. Bomb going down, and Statue can't land the shots either. Big mess up over by Astro, but the other part, the one in Statue, the one with the diffuser, that's solid. That gets them the win.
And although it was a bit of an issue to deal with Packer, playing so close at Astro Staircase, so many engagements won by one player alone, having all these longer angles to fall back on and having enough control in the bomb site, it was kind of an awkward retake position.
Get up, get up.
Oh my god. Sounds like your mic.
It sounds like my mic in TeamSpeak.
Sounds a lot better on Discord. Thank God for that.
I get what you feel now, man. That's not great.
Not that bad, but the passion. The passion's definitely there in the play-by-play and the round win for 1 HP. As they're up 2 now because of that.
And they've widened their lead. They've got to win on trophy, and now they'll turn their focus towards kitchen dining as Karn and Co. try to keep 1 HP guessing, keep them on their toes, necessitating adaptations. The Karn and Co. are running half the C4s that 1 HP were on their attack, so Wi-Fi and Nick might be playing a bit more in tandem in the middle portion of that round to make sure those C4s have maximum impact and leave a lot of the roaming upstairs to Karn on the... Karn on Oryx?
Interesting.
Wow.
Has Karn gotten a kill this game? I don't know if he got one before the rehost.
I don't know if he has.
It would have been on round 3.
I'm so curious. Give me a second. This is the benefit of online right here. I can just open up the clean feed, go rewind.
Nice. Oh, we got one! Oh my goodness! Let's go.
I'm at the king you best not miss. That's my bad, Karn. Take the T5. I'll quit. I'll quit the hating right now.
We see the vision now.
Yeah, we see it. We are no longer blind. We're not being led by the shepherd. Being led by our one and true king. Aim key down, of course, makes that the main source of soft destruction for 1 HP. Got to rely on those breach charges. Deja vu. Karnico were in the exact same position. A buck lost early on, forcing the ace to do all the hard breaching. And who was the ace in that Karnico round? It was Karn. Who's dead? It's BJL. That's their only source of nades. Limited resources for 1 HP, and that scarcity is coming to bite them. Soft destruction basically gone. Nades completely gone. Nick going for another double. Trying to take the fight with the player outside of launch, but won't find it just yet. Instead, it's an aggressive defense from Karnico that so far has not been punished whatsoever.
Single wall opened up. That's one thing to look forward to for 1 HP, and that's kind of where it ends. Most likely going to have to be a laundry and pantry side attack unless they're too fearful of the intel that Karnico can gather just by simply standing still with the cardiac sensor. And if that is the case, we might see, one person try to lurk across the map and maybe have some magic happen. And I think Twist might be the person to do that. He's using the basement to maybe walk up the round staircase and then go through China. Nice shot landed by Skunky, just catching the tail end of Karn. He'll hop in, but that's intel now established by the rest of Karn & Co. members that are still alive. And they still have to worry about that threat, of course, of not only Memo, but even having someone push in across the ways by Pantry as Skunky now moves in through Bike. It seems somewhat winnable here for 1 HP, but it will still take a miracle. Oh, but there it is.
Yep, we might have a miracle inside a kitchen. Never mind. Well, Twist might be the one to do it. He was the one to start it. Karnico might just end it. Fuser dropped the Memorial, though. Twist picks it back up. He'll move to put the bomb down as Karnico don't have vertical presence. They're very far away. He can get this bomb down, no problem. The one to his left, one to his right. No chance of landing that pre-fire. Good attempt, Twist. An admirable effort. Double kill in a plant. That'll boost your, well, won't really boost your cost, but you at least get an impact in this round. So Karnico, not taking the lead, but again, closing the gap.
Just like Chalet for Chunner, one of the most important kills we saw in that round was by Carnage Basketball. The best to ever do it in T2. And that definitely seems a reliant statement once again in round number 9. Moving into the 10th now for Avian Games this time. I was going to say, yeah, we did see that in round number 7, and that was off of the back of Packer doing really well and the lack of utility clear by 1 HP that allowed Karn & Co. to win that bomb site specifically. And yeah, like we mentioned earlier when they first brought out Flores, I don't think they're going to be making the same mistake twice. They don't want to have these deployable shields and these smaller extensions be that much of a threat to the rest of their teammates, as if they can clear out the shield and be able to, I don't know, get more people active in the building earlier in the round, we could maybe see Packer forced to go back into the bomb site a little bit earlier. And especially if you add a lurk into the mix as well, that could even mitigate some of the problems you might see over by the study side of the map as well. That is if 1 HP want to go for the same kind of attacking style for Aviator, where they go direct by study and have a bigger presence down below in the first floor, which with a buck, I think they might go for exactly that, because I don't know what exactly they'd want to use buck for on the, opposing side of the map near the north part of it.
See if your prediction proves true. They go for the buck from below, use those Rotero drones to clear out the explosive utility on that second floor, evade the mistakes that lost them that initial AVG round. Another thing to look at, Karn & Co. 3-0 on the entry on their defenses so far. Admittedly, the middle round, round number 8, was traded out almost immediately, and they did end up losing it. Still, Karn & Co. have managed to get that first pick 3 times now, and Kixrow looking to make it 4. Hiding behind this Kiba, 4 different players. All around bedroom right now. They likely know his position. He'll take down the Ana clone and the drone in the process. This is part of the point. Just destroy some utility. Make them waste some time. He'll even shoot the Selma charge for good measure as the nade goes wide and they don't destroy the Kiba first. It's a lot of good utility now wasted and a kill as well. That's what he was looking for. Wi-Fi looking for more. 3 bodies left for 1 HP and just ashes in their hands. Nothing to gain from that roam clear. Just some angles open, utility wasted. Still over half the round to go, but they've lost nades and that buck, and now Inky, the victim of friendly fire.
Use BGL will still down Kixrow, and
Huh?
Wi-Fi is just, I don't know, admiring the bomb chassis. That was an odd one.
Got a ball game.
Yeah, all of a sudden it becomes competitive once again, despite that clear by Master being very cumbersome. It's just an odd one at that. A minute 20 is a little to work with, and you have Skunky alive, who probably has enough reach to get that wall opened up. Yeah, BGL's going to use an Ash Charge to break that Mute Jammer if it's close by, not across the other side of the wall. No, it's tucked by the single. So the Ash Charge can't get it, and the radius might be big enough where the Rotero drone is not going to be able to find it as well. So that wall might remain intact, which would be very beneficial for Karn & Co, as they could play close with a shotgun by Vault and also keep people by Study and maybe even Bar/90 just to make this very challenging for 1 HP to deal with. And BGL even goes below to use an Ash Charge, but it's not for the jammer. It's in case someone was playing there. So the wall is really going to stay shut.
That's a key angle now denied for 1 HP to use. Packer also being very liberal with his toxic canisters. 30 seconds, or once the clock hits 30 seconds, they can start executing, but there's still a shotgun aimed right at that doorway, and Packer's been lethal with the shotgun. Made his reputation off of it over the past year. I don't even know how many shotgun kills he's got this match, but he's the minister. Nick also cuts down one. That's 2 more for Packer's cap this entire game with the shotgun. Now the lead is completely nullified by Karn & Co.
Looking back at our operator bans as well, Carter, I am a little shocked with how big of an emphasis 1 HP had on that master overtake that they didn't want to bring something like a Nook and play down below. Because you look at the last time Aviator was in play, there was no one down below, essentially. I think there was like, oh no, that wasn't even this half. It was the first half when 1 HP was defending, where they had Skunky like all the way in the basement playing tic-tac-toe on the wall. Like, that wasn't even Karn & Co doing that. So there was literally no one playing down below. And everyone, there's 4 people, like you mentioned, on Master Balcony. You can sacrifice putting someone else down below instead and walking up Astro to help with that clear instead as someone like Nook, who's going to deny all that intel, and maybe you find some more success. At least you're adding a bit more to your attack than just hopping into the active extension that Karn & Co has to just die to 2 different people because they have to look at one direction on the map, and that's it. And then they fall away because there's only one cutoff angle, and aim key missed the mark, unfortunately. So the lack of diversity there by 1 HP really screwed them over in the late round when they made things close, but because they were just missing on a couple of vital things, they still couldn't win the round.
At least some good shots by BGL to make our memories of that a little fonder, but
yeah, that was nice.
As you said, not a lot there to talk about in general, 1 HP, let alone to speak fondly about. On the other hand, Karn & Co maintain that lead in their defensive entries, 4-0 now. Last round attained by Kixro, and now he's looking to get a double off of that last round. Moving on bottom main right now, but again, the goal is similar. Just shoot some drones. It's fine. You don't need to worry about getting a kill early on. You're just trying to goad them through the map, lead them on a wild goose chase. Wi-Fi, the same story, though he's now very low HP. A nade through the floor might be the death of him, so that's why he's backed off and given Kixro the reins of Aviator games. Deny some time on this extension with these Kibas and waste the last nade for Twist. Could have been in the cards, but he'll back off as well. He feels confident in the Kibas he's placed, the utility that Karn & Co, or sorry, 1 HP have already used, and the time they'll likely spend remaining to waste some time. Unfortunately, Wi-Fi, who was dealt quite low early on, is caught at Astro window and finished off.
At least that's something going the way of 1 HP for what it seems like it's been quite a while since then. More intel to be gathered as well by Twist, who's now put himself inside of maps. I realize someone's back behind statue, and I think they just caught the... Oh, I don't know. Do they know about Packer? The drone might have just caught the edge of his helmet. And yeah, okay, Skunky's drone most certainly did. C4 tossed up, though. Dodged just in the nick of time by Twist, so no trade found just yet by Packer. But luckily, having such a large area to work around in terms of rotations, he can come back up above and probably be just fine unless this player who's running right at him, that being BGL, catches him at just the right time. He might.
DMR is right close to sight. Aim key spotting it. Doesn't have the DMR like I thought, but he's got the V308. Rapid fire Packer now down. Nick, the only one with Karn & Co and a kill in this round so far. And the defenses remaining on the site are slowly being destroyed in front of the remaining defenders. The execute is coming from Trophy, but there's one lurking on Astro. Make that 2. One might fall, but the other 2 clean it up very quickly. Match point now for 1 HP. Karn & Co need to win a defense, and the next one in particular, but just one to get to OT.
Wondering where Karn & Co will probably want to head to next. I would assume dining room, and even a timeout called by Karn & Co as well. They did a pretty solid job in the opening round to establish that kind of aggression that you need sometimes on a more roam-centric bomb site like dining room. They eliminated Buck, and I think they found another kill as well. I think it was either Nick or Wi-Fi who found the other one-on-one engagement, and that really did slow down 1 HP. there were moments where they got a bit too aggressive on that round and it made things kind of close. But again, when you don't have a lot of avenues of approach into the bomb site, you can still be pretty successful in those close 3v3 positions just by knowing where to look and maybe forcing your opponents to kind of overextend into the bomb site and play for that objective, which is kind of what we saw. Now for 1 HP though, it's probably just making sure those same mistakes don't necessarily happen, making sure that you're expecting that kind of aggression by Karn and Co, because they're going to be running operators that can rely on a lot of info to then readjust where they're playing, work nitro sales in their favor, or just have an Oryx, who's one of the most mobile operators in the game currently. So just either being able to play close to one another, go for those trades so no one's in an immediate advantage, or just make sure you have some sort of insurance policy could go a long way. Maybe even bringing out 2 vertical players could be a wise idea as well, because Sledge is nothing to scoff at a bomb site like Dining Room, where you can have the luxury of just playing above the entire round and then using nades to flush people out of spots you can't necessarily get to with vertical.
Also one of the only options Karn and Co had. I was honestly, as we were getting late into that time, I was like, what if they do a living room library? What if they're taking this next minute, knowing that 1
not
HP...
Carnage and Company.
Knowing
Surely
that
not.
1 HP, no, we're going to go to dining, and we go to living room library. Tell me that would have not made your night.
I think it would have, Carter. I'll be honest.
It would have made my night too. I'd have been very happy. But here we are. It is dining, and as you said, there are positions that had you had a Sledge, you could flush out very easily, but the lack of soft breach is a little worrying. We got the breach charges and nothing else. They got rid of the redundancy, but like in the opposite way from what I thought. But maybe they got something cooked that you and I aren't expecting.
Let's hope for their sake that's the case. I'm don't get me wrong, I don't think Grim's like a horrible operator now. You can clearly see him in some situations be very powerful. But in this case, I'm really wondering to see where BGL is going to want to set up to then utilize his Grim charges, I guess, because if you're not playing above with vertical, then would you be putting them more of like a cutoff position? Like this pantry wall, for example, they put it by like a double door and like keep China so no one could push back in from B. That'd be an interesting idea, to be honest, but I don't know if that would really pan out, considering 1 HP are kind of pushing from the living room library side of the map and not really focused on the bomb site right this very second.
The whole clear right now, though, is 1 can opener and Twist laying pre-fire into pre-fire on the other side of library. Unfortunately, doesn't bear any fruit. Packers backed off. Wi-Fi's backed off. A lot of utility used and a decent amount of time wasted by the defense. But nothing really to show for it for 1 HP, though they have acquired some important control. Not to be too negative. They've got a living room and they have library, which are right next to the bomb site. Now just some work needs to be done to maybe control those roamers upstairs instead of fully dealing with them. Oh, an extremely well-timed Kiba barrier. Likely saves Wi-Fi's life inside a kitchen. Excellent play by Kixro right there, just barely sheltering his teammate from an early death.
1 HP now looking to readvert some of their focus across the map now. Another missed opportunity by Twist this time, who's looking all the way down from Mud in the beginning of China. Now it seems like for 1 HP, they're beginning to push outward from Mud and also having some players still outside the building looking to maybe go towards Laundry. That could be the job of Big Guy, opening up some of that double wall just to get a better angle over by Tetris, for example, and just making it more difficult for players to sit inside the objective comfortably. And there it is. Aimkey spots another chance of winning a gunfight and takes it. But there's Karn across the map, catches 1 by surprise. And with that lack of vertical presence, Nick can play above and he smokes Big Guy. Now that Laundry presence is completely gone.
Packers worked his way into a sneaky spot, but it doesn't even matter. Aimkey pre-fires it, completely shuts it down. Back in the disadvantaged, Karn and Co. not even close. 1 HP clinched the 7-5 victory. They moved to the promotion stage alongside Triple G.
Well-deserved victory as well, I'd have to say. Although it seemed a little bit, I don't want to say confusing, but a little bit of a gamble to not have any of that vertical. Still having people across the map playing just horizontally, it really made it challenging to just sit in the objective comfortably. And with there only being 1 person above, it wasn't like you could have Karn and Co. specifically rotate back to the top floor to try and play for a plant denial style of composition. That wasn't really what Karn and Co were looking for in that round, and with them eventually just losing more and more positions to sit in comfortably, they just got caught at bad times. AIMKey found that opening gunfight win, and you just slowly saw the rest of 1HP just closing in to the objective. And we even saw some aggressive plays being intended by Karn and Co to try to silence that, and with them backfiring, it was just a complete destruction by 1HP. And we really saw a lot of close calls during this best of one as well. So I'd honestly hope to see Karn and Co maybe make it all the way back in through another promotion match later in the Swiss stage, Carter, to see a bit more of a rematch perhaps between these two teams.
1HP also making a name for themselves in the past 3 months as one of the big teams to watch for in T3. And not just, big teams that are, made of amalgamations of pro talent like Triple G or Carry the Boats, but as teams that have been built by players coming from that amateur semi-professional space and quickly rising to the top alongside the likes of AAA and many others. So making that promotion stage early on, fitting with the reputation they have cultivated for themselves and making it through the qualifiers as well. Played some of the most games, some of the most maps inside of Element 1 so far. Showing the experience is playing off. The excitement says it all. A lot of passionate people, very happy to make that best of 3.
At least we saw some excitement on the last best of 1. You know, that's what we're looking for. It was kind of like gradual improvement. We had like almost no comms game 1.
No, not at all.
And then we had like Jameson being like, yippee, we won the best of 1. And then like that game, it was like literal screaming till the mic was like breaking. Yeah. Live reaction to winning the game.
Live AIMKey reaction.
They're winning like 2 opening kills in a row. And speaking of the entry game, I know we talked about it a lot, but it didn't seem to be as much of a threat in some rounds for 1HP, at least like from a general standpoint, because sure, their opening round looked really choppy and that might have affected how the rest of the round panned out. But there were moments where things were like dead even because you saw people either getting caught at a bad time when they were looking to rotate away from the roam, or just in general losing a different 50-50 gunfight later in the round. We even saw all the way back at round number 1 that almost being won by BGL because there were moments in that 2v4 where both himself and AIMKey were like, all right, we can't just sit in the bomb site and pray we win this by using our smoke babes. We gotta just walk in front of them and hope we win our gunfights. And that almost happened, every single time. It worked 3 out of 4 times. And unfortunately, the last time, BGL was just way too low. And, Kix kind of figured out where he was after a pre-fire had gone wrong.
The stats indicate how close of a game that was. No OT, but extremely close ratings, extremely close kills, entries, 2% difference in the cost. This was extremely down to the wire, and that even shows by the last round. Packer maybe goes unnoticed. 1 kill goes the way of Karn and Co. You and I might be casting an overtime game right now, but sometimes it's not fated to happen. Kixer might have had a great day, but generally, aside from big guy on 1 HP, they were the far more consistent team when it came to putting up good numbers.
I think Carnage did actually get a kill off stream as well from that 1 round. I don't think we saw him get another kill besides the opener. That 1 specific round. Yeah, so basically another 1-9 game. If you want to really talk about that.
It's 2-9. It's 2-9.
Yeah,
you got the kill.
True, and they won the round. So I think that's the most important part. But they did not win the game, sadly. Instead, that goes to 1HP, who oddly enough had like a pretty similar score line to what Karn and Co said, like you talked about, just the general stats overall. Everyone's kind of doing the same in the kill department. It really just came to the end round readjustments, where even if they weren't winning entry kills, they were still playing as a team and making sure that Karn and Co can't get away with like a lot of tomfoolery. Besides, like I guess Packer Shotgun, that's like the only outlier of that state. That guy's just a menace, which I don't blame him. He was like the best of the best in T2 with that shotgun, so he's back in his home environment.
It's like, hey, we got Keno at home, and it's Packer W Star. We do have somebody to talk to 2 times now. I've only done 2 days worth of interviews, but I've talked to one person twice, and it is the man I'm about to talk to. Let's bring AIMKey into here. Hello, AIMKey. How you doing? Another scuffed interview from you, the telephone cam. What are we doing? Come on.
Hey, at least I got the poster in the background. No,
that's true. What poster is that? Hold up, I got a tab covering it. What is that?
The R6 logo.
Nice.
Well, my friends gave me it.
I didn't know you were. You are good friends. That's very nice. So, 2 wins, 2 times we've talked, and you are now the second team to make it into the promotion stage. I mentioned this after the game ended, but 1HP has seemingly very quickly ascended to kind of the, before Element 1, kind of the upper echelons, the top ranks of T3, and now you guys are the only other team in promotions at the moment alongside Triple G, all composed of pro players. Does it finally feel good to live up to some of that reputation you guys have built for yourselves?
Yeah, it feels great. Unfortunately, you didn't believe in it because you voted to go to Karn again, which come on, man. You know it's occurring.
Listen, man, okay? I was asked to do the predictions late last night. I was very tired. I hadn't gone to bed yet. I wasn't thinking. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have doubted you. I apologize. But in exchange, I'll predict you guys next time. You making it to playoffs? You're going to be one of the first teams in?
Yeah.
You're going to make that... I heard a little shake in your voice, AMP. I need a bit more of a confident answer.
Yes, whoever we play in this best of 3, we're going to beat 2-0.
All right, I'll accept that. Well, we're having a bit of a late night, so anything you want to say before we go to Sport 1HP, Sport 1HP, support you guys. Anything you want to say, AMP?
First, shout out to the coaching staff, Cohen and Filthy, like they're goats, like always helping us. Yeah, it's just amazing people. Also, shout out to my teammates. Obviously, I wouldn't be here talking to you without that. And then I have 2 things on my mind that I gotta say. First, we never lose to Karn. Don't check the stats behind that, but we never lose to Karn. Second, I have to call out one of our co-streamers here, Caliber Jacob. Last time I gave an interview, he was kind of yapping his mouth a little too much about how the interview went. So gotta tell him to calm it down. But besides that, all good.
Well, let's see how you do in the promotion game. But thank you very much for talking to us, AMK. I look forward to seeing you, maybe against Triple G, maybe against somebody else, but let's see if you make playoffs. Have a good one.
Thank you, man.
Well, we've wrapped up our games for today. Still a few business we gotta iron out. Gotta take a look at the bracket, look at how the games have played, because we're all done. 2 very close games, one-sided one, but for a 3-game split, I'm happy with this. John, you happy with this?
I think I'm happy with this. We saw Taken Kings kind of on a new leaf where they had a bit of a hiccup at the beginning of this week, and they kind of bounced back pretty well. Even CNE just had overall a more competitive game than what we saw. And look, even the predictions are more even. You've got pretty much just 2 numbers, and that's it. If you're excluding you. If you were kind of perfectly in the center now at this point. Wow. Actually, yeah, you still went up, I think, a little bit, right? Were you at oh no, you're at 70.
Yeah, I was at 70, so I'm net down by the end of the day. Harrison also down. He was at the 90 starting out. Now,
yeah.
You, him, and Seth all tied at 83. Jonah Connor, Mickey Mouse casters. Tying for last.
For that.
I'm at least original. 67, my own number. 2/3 correct. I'll take it. And of course, we've got the remainder games to play here. We got through 3, technically 4 today, if you count the forfeit victory for Wildcard Aces. But the other 4, John, I believe you're taking care of that tomorrow, aren't you?
I most certainly am. I don't know how Sway versus FMG is going to pan out. I don't think Harrison knows either. So we're just going to have to see that for ourselves. We do have some other more interesting games. Osiris versus SSG ACAD.
That's my game of the day.
I think, yeah, I'd have to agree. Rise versus Dilemma.
Dilemma's own fan.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't really know what map we could see from that, because I believe both Dilemma and Aerial Rise have a couple of similar maps. I know at one point Aerial Rise used to love Villa. We just saw Dilemma play on that too, obviously. But maybe we won't get something as default as that, perhaps. And of course, Carry the Boats versus Outlast. That also should be a really competitive game, despite it being in the lower group, because Carry the Boats almost beat Osiris, and then Outlast, what Connor mentioned earlier, they were playing out of this world, and you wouldn't have maybe acknowledged that based off of who they were playing against, that being SSG Academy. Only until overtime that it really seemed okay, SSG Academy, they're kind of proving the point. But other than that, it was incredibly close.
Well, I know my game of the day is SSG Academy. Dilemma, Aerial Rise, a close second, but obviously the upper game's very exciting. The lower game still gotta be careful, especially that Carry the Boats game. Didn't expect them to be in that position, so you might see a couple big names in the elimination stage if another best of 1 doesn't go their way. But again, thank you for watching. But before we go, we got one more thing to talk about. One more thing. There's a little known thing. You might have seen Anki's poster about Rainbow Six. There's a little event called the Atlanta Major. coming up. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's basically this thing where we get like the top 20 best teams in the world from all the 9 regions, play through 3 stages about a week and a half, 2 weeks, see who's the best at the moment, Rainbow Six. Not the official world champion, as you have to win invite to do that, but see which is kind of the unofficial best team in the world. My opinion, and I want to say this right now, I think W7 are breaking the curse. I think they're hitting the 2-piece. That's just my opinion, though, John. Do you disagree?
I don't think that's really far-fetched. You know, a lot can happen in the span of time we have from the Copenhagen Major going into Atlanta, but like Brazil just crushed Copenhagen. Like almost, I think all of them made it into playoffs. So 4 Brazil teams were in playoffs.
Even NIP, which astounded me.
Yeah,
going into the event.
I casted NIP in the beginning of stage 1, and they did not look like they were going to go to the major. I'll just say that much. And then they bounced back completely in the LCQ. And I mean, they played really well. Other than that, I mean, still making the playoffs from Copenhagen is great.
Yeah. Well, you'll just have to see at the Atlanta Major, and you'll just have to see who else makes the elimination, promotion, middle games tomorrow in Element 1. We got Crow and Fellow taking those games, but thank you for watching tonight. See you tomorrow. Have a good one.
you